All right. Those of you who were on my last pilgrimage know that in the months leading up to departure, I offer gatherings like this to dive deep into some of the history and the art of the places that we will visit, as well as practical information to shorten our learning curve. This is going to be a casual meeting, so chime in anytime if you have a question or if you have thoughts that or some information that might enhance the group's knowledge as well. So yeah, just remember that. Just remember to unmute yourself. Now, like I said, this is going to be the first of such gatherings. I'll probably give about 4 more before we leave. Now, as you know, Rome has so much to offer, so much to see. So I really believe that investing some time into research before we arrive, that's really going to enhance our experience. The more we know about our trip before we get there, the more we're going to be able to extract vital experiences as well. Now, I've recommended these books in the past. You've heard me recommend these 2 books. Both are very well written. They're very enjoyable to read on their own artistic merit. But they also help us develop a mindset about travel that will really help us get the most out of our journey. So if you don't have these books, either one of them, I highly recommend getting them. Now, one thing that Phil Cousineau, the guy whose book is on the right here, The Art of Pilgrimage, one thing that he emphasizes in his book is the importance of setting an intention before we go. That's why I gave you a book list. Do you remember that email I sent out with the itinerary and then at the end was a big book list? Okay. Find something that piques your interest. When you read those books, something is going to grab your attention. Something is going to seem quite appealing to you, whether it's an historical matter, whether it's an artistic matter, a spiritual matter, philosophical matter, whatever it is. If you read a wide variety of books on Italy before you go, something is going to grab your attention. And then that's going to help you set an intention, an investigative, you can make this an investigative experience, a trip. For example, when I went to Paris, I did a lot of research on the lost generation, those writers and artists who were expatriates, who traveled to Paris during the Belle Epoque period or during the 1920s and really found themselves there. And I was really fascinated with their lives. And so that really helped me. It enhanced my experience of Paris. I saw the sites that were important to these writers, these artists, and that really inspired me as well. So I encourage you to read some of these books so that you can find something like that, a little niche of interest. It's really going to enhance your trip. If we travel with a purpose in mind, it's really going to vitalize our experience while we're in Italy. Now, one way to help us develop some clarity about a purpose is through journaling. And for that reason, I give all of you a journal prior to leaving for our trip to Italy. Now, how many of you who were on my last trip, remember to unmute yourself, how many of you who were on my last trip need a new journal? Because I gave you a journal. Is that going to serve your purpose for this trip, or do you need a new journal? Go ahead and chime in.
I'm good.
You're good, Jeff? Do you think Julie's good, or do you think she wants another one?
She's probably fine.
Okay.
I've got tons of them around the house anyway.
Okay. And how about you, Teresa?
I'm not sure, so I'm gonna say no. I
No,
mean, I
as
should
in-
be fine.
Oh, you should be fine. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And Wave, I was thinking about bringing a sketchbook.
That's not allowed, Patrick. I mean, for heaven's sakes, we're going to go to art museums. Why? You don't need a sketchbook. No, I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and I can use that
Sketchbook will
as a
be your
journal
journal.
as well.
It's going to be a very visual journal for you. But also, you always write notes anyway in your
I do.
sketch journals. So, yeah, that's perfectly fine. So yeah, just let me know if you do not need a journal. Otherwise, I'm going to send you one. All right. And I'll probably send it to you I don't know, maybe a month from now to give you some time to start working on it as you do your research for the trip. When we journal, we tend to put down the most important issues dominating our thoughts. And journaling helps us to listen to that still small voice within. Journaling helps us clarify what next steps we need to take in order to resolve some problem in our life, an issue, or to find our next mission. Now, I know many of you have heard me say this already before, but I'm going to say it again. We never retire from a vitalizing purpose. If we are not yet plant fertilizer, then we are not retired from some mission in this life. A pilgrimage can help us find our next project, help us find our next mission, if we are intentional in our travel. And a journal really helps us in that regard. That's why I supply it for everybody. Now let's discuss some practical matters. This is Rome, by the way. Our hotel is a B&B, the Opera Suites Pensiana, which is in the bottom left corner of this slide. I showed you an image of what it looks like on the outside. It's located near several famous landmarks. Now look on the map, look towards the top. Do you see that little blue building icon right there? It's right next to the stairs steps.
Yeah.
That's where our hotel is. So you can see it's in a great location. I mean, we're so close to the second largest park in Rome. 3 of our museums that we're going to visit are located in the Villa Borghese. That's the park right north of our hotel. You can see them, the National Etruscan Museum, the National Gallery of Modern Art, and the Galleria Borghese. We're going to all 3 of those places. All right. Most of our sites are within a mile of the hotel. So walking will be what most of us choose as far as our mode of transportation. 2 of our sites, though, are over a mile away. That's the historical center with the Roman Forum and Colosseum. That's our first day in Rome in the afternoon. Do you see that square at the bottom of the map? It's got ancient Rome, Palatine Hill, Colosseum, Roman Forum. Okay. That's about a mile and a half away. So we're going to get public transportation for that. I'll get taxis for all of us. And then the Vatican, you see that in the far left side of this map? We'll also get transportation there.
Yeah.
Now, anyone here who has difficulty walking over a mile, please let me know so that I can plan for your taxi rides to some of our sites. And one thing I can't emphasize enough, invest in comfortable, durable walking shoes. All right. No matter how much money you pay for these shoes, if they keep you from injury and keep you comfortable, they're worth it. So do that before you leave, okay? Let's see. Oh, here's a metro map of Rome. Notice that the metro is not as extensive as in some European cities. You know, many of you have been to Paris with me, perhaps on the last trip or been some other time. Much more extensive network of trains. We're probably not going to use the metro very often as a result of that. So I am going to be relying on taxis for most of our transportation other than walking. Just wanted to let you know that. All right, here's our schedule for Rome. We check in to the Opera Suites Pensiana when we arrive on October 13th. Our historical tour is at 3 p.m. However, the guide wants us to arrive 15 minutes early, so we'll probably leave the hotel together around 2:15 p.m. So just make sure whatever plane you are taking in, that you will be able to arrive at the hotel and be able to leave by 2:15 p.m. from the hotel for our historical tour. Now, if there is an issue, please let me know, and we'll work on that as well. Monday, let's see. Oh, yeah. Well, I have a little optional thing. If you want to join me at the Spanish Steps, and I'll give a
Yes.
little literary talk as well. The Spanish Steps are incredibly close. You saw that on the map.
Yeah.
Very close to our hotel. And Spanish Steps are one of the iconic places in all of Rome. Everybody knows where that is. It's a great meeting spot for people. So we're right near there. But our big event for Monday is the Sistine Chapel, Vatican Museums. That's at 2:45. We'll also get a tour, I think, of the Pope's Palace there as well. That's at 2:45 p.m. We do have a guide. All right. So we'll have to, they're going to hand out headsets for us to listen privately. Now, one thing I want to emphasize about Rome and its sites. Rome is crowded throughout the year. So especially the Vatican museums, just know that there are going to be a lot of people around you. It's a good thing that we have a guide that'll help navigate us through that. So just be prepared for that. Now, the other thing about Monday, notice I have lunch, dinner. I'm going to provide that on Monday.
Right.
I have a question mark there. Which do you prefer? And the reason I have a question mark there is because if we have dinner together, I know that a lot of people may want to wander around after our tour in the Vatican museums and the Sistine Chapel, go back through places that we've seen, because our guide is not going to be able to tell us about every work of art there, obviously. So some people may want to stay and linger. If that is the case, that means that it may be difficult to get us all together for dinner, because some people may want to stay really late. So that's why I put the lunch option in there. What do you all think about that? Go ahead and chime in now.
How long is the tour?
The tour lasts, I think, an hour and a half to 2 hours total.
And how late is the Sistine Chapel open until?
At least 5 p.m. I'll have to check on that, but possibly 6 p.m. Marco, do you know off chance? Joanna?
No,
Okay.
No, I wouldn't.
no idea.
Okay.
Why
No.
don't we just have dinner at 7 or something like that?
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So if you're still interested in dinner, then I can do that dinner at 7 p.m. Now, one thing about Italy in general is that many of the restaurants don't even open up for dinner until 7 p.m.
That's
It's really
yeah.
late.
That's true.
So we're gonna have to get used to that. Okay.
In-
Now,
in-
next, let's see. Yeah, Tuesday, we're going to go through the park there just north of us, the Villa Borghese, to the Etruscan Museum. That's going to be at 10 a.m. Gives you plenty of time for your breakfast and for it to digest. And then we're going to go to the Modern and Contemporary Art Museum afterwards, and we can have lunch in their cafe. The Contemporary Art Museum has a nice cafe, good food. So I thought we could all have lunch there before our 2 p.m. Tour. Now, we're not going to have a guided tour. We're going to be free, but in future presentations before we leave, I'm going to go over what we're going to see in the Etruscan Museum, as well as what we're going to see in the Contemporary Art Museum, so that you're going to have a little bit of a taste of what you're going to see, and it's going to help out and enhance your experience there. But because of the nature of these museums, I wanted you to have the freedom to wander around on your own, because not everybody is interested in the same type of art, especially in the Modern and Contemporary Art Museum. So that's going to give you a lot of freedom to just wander on your own and focus on what interests you the most. Now, on Wednesday, I'm going to plan a morning meeting. I have a question mark there, but I'm going to find a location so that we can meet in the morning. Those of you who went on my French trip know that our trips are like a retreat. If you've ever been on a retreat, you know that before you go do things, there's a gathering of everybody, and there's usually a little presentation.
Okay.
It's more of a, I guess, almost like a devotional kind of meeting to help us reflect on what we've experienced so far, what we can experience in the future. And so we're going to have some of those gatherings as well. And so I plan on one of those Wednesday morning. But then it's a free day. All right. There's the optional Pantheon trip. So if you want to go with me to the Pantheon, I'm going to go there in the morning. So you could join me. Also, one thing that's really interesting about this trip to the Pantheon, in the neighborhood all around the Pantheon, there are churches with unbelievable art, Michelangelo sculptures, Caravaggio paintings. I mean, it's incredible. just simply right close by the Pantheon. So I'm going to also want to go into some of those churches, and you can join me on that. But if you choose to, you can just do your own thing that day as well. And then on Thursday, October 17th, one of the great museums, Gallery Borghese, give you plenty of time to enjoy it because we'll go in the morning. And then the rest of your day is free until we gather for dinner. All right? Now, for those of you who want to take a cooking class, some of you asked about that. You could do that on a Wednesday, try to sign up for a Wednesday, or maybe in the afternoon on Thursday after the Gallery Borghese. Here are some of the options that I found from a site called The Roman Guy. I included a link to that in that previous email I sent to you with the schedule. So if you're interested, I hope you clicked on that link. If you did, you would have come up with these options. You can look, these are 4 options. Here are 3 more from The Roman Guy, and they're the costs, as well as reviews of these cooking classes. So if you're interested, explore that a little. All right, like I said, close to our hotel in Rome, several famous Rome landmarks and sites. If you've ever seen the movie Roman Holiday, you know, with Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck, you'll know that there are several scenes by the Spanish Steps near our hotel. Now, notice the building on the right at the foot of the steps. I'm going to talk about that place in a little bit, but that is the Keats Shelley House. But first of all, let me talk about the Spanish Steps. 135 steps is linked with the Trinità dei Monti Church under the patronage of the Bourbon kings of France. That's at the top of the steps. And the Spanish embassy to the Holy See is at the bottom of the steps. But this is a famous gathering spot. A lot of people meet here. Now, Marco and Joanna, now, Marco, you've been here recently.
Yeah.
Are you still allowed to walk on the steps, or have they closed it off? I heard that they
No,
closed it off.
you can walk on the steps. You can go back and forth without any
Okay.
problem.
All right, just curious. All right, like I said, at the bottom of the steps is the Keats Shelley Memorial House. So those of you who have a literary bent, you might have some interest in visiting this site. The Keats Shelley Memorial House is a writer's house museum commemorating the Romantic poets John Keats, who actually died in this building at the age of 25, as well as dedicated to his friend, the poet Percy Bysshe Shelley. Many of you know who he is. His wife might even be more famous, Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein. The museum houses one of the world's most extensive collections of memorabilia, letters, manuscripts, and paintings relating to Keats and Shelley, as well as other Romantic poets such as Lord Byron, William Wordsworth, Robert Browning, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Oscar Wilde, and others. Now, this year just happens to be the 200th anniversary of Lord Byron's death. And the Keats Shelley House is showcasing special lectures throughout the year on Byron, including, there's one while we're there, the 17th of October. The title of that presentation is All at Sea, Byron as a Nautically Minded Landlubber. A landlubber is somebody who's kind of incompetent with boats. So that's kind of funny. Byron, I guess, was incompetent with boats, but he traveled extensively the last 8 years of his life in a boat and spent a lot of time in Italy. So for someone, yeah. So anyway, consider that if you have a literary bent, you might want to take a pilgrimage to honor the Romantic poets. That's right by our hotel. Also, you probably heard of this site. A 10-minute stroll from the hotel is the famous landmark of the Trevi Fountain. Everyone needs a photo op at this site, all right? You also should consider throwing a coin into the fountain as a promise to return to Rome one day. Coins are purportedly meant to be thrown using the right hand over the left shoulder. You got to throw it in that way for some reason. I think it was in a movie in the 1950s, and everybody has to do it that way since that movie came out. Some of the money that's thrown into the fountain supports the poor. So you're doing a good deed as well. And only 600 meters from the hotel is the Barberini Palace with a wonderful collection of Baroque art. This fresco is on the main hall ceiling. It was created by Pietro da Cortona and his students between 1632 and 1639. The immense composition celebrates the spiritual and political power of the Barberini family through a myriad of characters, more than 100 of them, as you can probably see. In the center of this ceiling fresco, hovering in the clouds, is divine providence, holding a scepter, commands fame to crown the coat of arms of the Barberini family. And on the side panels, two opposing principles face each other in turn. That is, vices and virtues, good and evil. Minerva is depicted knocking down the giants. Theology and religion are represented, keeping lasciviousness and debauchery at bay. Hercules is also presented, chasing away the greedy harpies. It's another myth. The good governance bans war and guarantees peace. And with its swirling vitality, its frenetic rhythm, its scenographic spatial illusionism, the fresco is one of the earliest and most accomplished examples of Baroque painting. So in your free time, if you want to see this, it's very close by. Also in the Barberini Palace, some Caravaggios, like Narcissus. Amazing work here. As well as this graphic painting, Judith slaying Holofernes. That's from the Old Testament of the Hebrew Scriptures. Maybe you want to visit this after or maybe before you have dinner. If you're, I don't know if you're a little bit squeamish, but definitely Caravaggio was quite graphic in some of his paintings. Also, just 1.5 kilometers from the hotel is this extraordinary basilica. Marco, I know, highly recommends a visit here. The Papal
Absolutely.
Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore. It
Oh,
is the largest of the 80 churches dedicated to Mary in Rome. Now, the original church was built in 432 by order of Pope Sixtus III and is one of the 7 pilgrim churches and one of the 4 papal basilicas in Rome. The other 3 papal basilicas are St. Peter's in the Vatican, San Giovanni in Laterano, and San Paolo, that's St. Paul. So if you might want to stop into those, pay homage to those saints. Now, the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore was built on the site where the Virgin Mary supposedly appeared in a dream to Pope Liberius. This is also where a miraculous weather event occurred. A blanket of snow appeared on the hill on the 5th of August, the middle of summer, when it's usually 90s. Now, this day is commemorated every year with the white flower petals that are dropped from the ceiling of this basilica. Just a little tidbits on it. Marco, do you have anything else you want to add, or Joanna, about this site?
No, no.
It's mind-blowing. Yes, for
Yes.
me, the most beautiful ceiling, the most beautiful pavement of any other church in Rome. It's
Yeah,
just
speaking of that, on the left is the view of the dome, and on the right, the apse, decorated in the 5th century with mosaics. Now, like all churches in Rome, the art it houses makes it one of the finest museums in the world. It's extraordinary. Now, you might reasonably assume that St. Peter's in the Vatican is the official seat of the Pope. It is not. This place is the Basilica di San Giovanni. It was founded in 313 under Emperor Constantine the Great. Emperor Constantine was the emperor who, with the Edict of Milan, allowed freedom of religion in the Roman Empire for the first time in 313. That included Christianity, and as we all know, Christianity became the state religion within a century, and the rest is history, right? This church is the cathedral of the Diocese of Rome, technically giving it the status of the most important church in Rome, and perhaps in Christendom. Here is the stunning mosaic in the apse of the basilica. Now, for those of you who like shopping, our hotel is near the Fashion District. So get ready to revel in Rome's exclusive boutiques like Gucci, Prada, Fendi, Hermano Cervino, Giorgio Armani, Dolce & Gabbana, Burberry, an English store, very famous English store, Chanel, a very famous French store, Tiffany, Bulgari, and so many others. Practically all the streets near the Spanish Steps and our hotel are dedicated to high fashion and luxury goods. So you might want to budget for that.
And if I can say something, Waverly.
Sure, go ahead.
These three streets, main three streets, Via Condotti especially, Via Frattina, Via Borgognona, are the three streets of super high-end fashion, jewelry stores, and this kind of stuff. Then at the end of these other streets, at the other side of the Spanish Steps, there is a long street called the Via del Corso. Via del Corso is it's like 2 miles long, more or less. And it's another street of stores, restaurants, etc. But they are way more affordable than these three main streets. These three main streets are for people who have a lot of money and they want to spend it. Via del Corso you can find if you want to buy something in Rome regarding fashion or shoes and stuff. I always advise Via del Corso because you can find a lot of very good deals there. And there's plenty of stores.
So, it's so helpful to have a Roman native to give us the inside information like that. That's great. Also, Marco does know some great little restaurants as well. So on your free evenings, if you want some good food, talk to Marco. He can definitely point you in the right direction. All right, now on to Florence. Our hotel, the Adler Cavalieri Hotel Private Spa and Gym, is just a short walk from the train station. Again, look at the map, look at the top left corner, you'll see the train tracks there. And then below to the left, you'll see that blue hotel icon again. See that?
Yes.
That is our hotel. So boy, we can walk from the train station to the hotel, but look how close it is to central Florence and all the historical sites as well. Let's see. Also, just so you know, you see the reddish little blocks on this map. I created those to show you sites where we are scheduled to visit. So you can see at the very bottom, Palazzo Pitti and the Boboli Gardens. Then just above that, to the right, the Uffizi Gallery. Way to the right of the Uffizi Gallery is an optional place that I'm going to mention in a little bit. The Church and Museum of Santa Croce. And then, of course, central Florence is the famous Duomo, landmark of Florence. And then to the right above that is the dell'Accademia, where the David by Michelangelo is located, as well as some other extraordinary art. And then also I included Central Market in there. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. That's an option for you. Now here's what our hotel looks like inside. Give you a little taste of that. Should be a very nice place, very relaxing place. But I also want to emphasize this is a spa hotel. Let's see.
Great.
Yeah, here it is. This is a spa hotel. So after visiting the beautiful sights of Florence, we can soak in the jacuzzi or enjoy a swim in their lap pool, which has the option of a counter current to swim against. And we can further relax in the steamy vapors of the Turkish bath and the heat of the sauna. So it's definitely a great option for well-being and rejuvenation. Now you can also have the wellness center all to yourself by choosing the private spa package. Now, I don't know how much that costs. I can find out for you, or you can visit the hotel website to find out. But definitely budget for a little pampering of yourself at this spa hotel, okay? Now let me go back to our schedule. We'll arrive, by lunchtime. We could check into the hotel. Your evening is free on this first day, all right? Completely free. Saturday, we're going to visit the Uffizi Gallery, one of the greatest galleries in all of Italy. Now, some of you are going to go with me at 9:15, and some of you I have tickets at 10 a.m. because of the feedback you gave me. Some of you like a little bit more leisurely morning, so I gave you a later ticket. And then you have the option of going at the Palazzo Pitti in the Boboli Gardens later that day at 2 p.m. Or if you choose, you can push those to a later date. But I got you a ticket that includes those. So you have 3 days to visit Palazzo Pitti and Boboli Gardens from the time you visit Uffizi. So there's flexibility there. You don't have to go on Saturday afternoon, but because of the other things scheduled, I just threw it in there on the schedule. It's up to you. You can decide what you want to do. And then on Sunday, we're going to see Michelangelo's David at the dell'Accademia. Now, I got an 8:45 a.m. visit. I know that's going to be early for some of you, but here's why. Sawyer remembers this. Sawyer and I think, had a noon ticket or something like that at the dell'Accademia. There was a huge line, and we, I think, didn't get in till half an hour after our scheduled time. So in order to avoid delays and just help us to get through this experience, I put it early in the morning at 8:45 a.m. so our wait wouldn't be that long. Plus, it gives us plenty of time to see the other great artworks in there. There's a lot more besides Michelangelo's David in there that you're going to want to look at. And then here's the schedule change that I made that I wanted to bring to your attention. In the afternoon, we're scheduled to visit the Duomo at 12:45. Before I had this open, but because of scheduling issues and trying to work everything in, I had to include it on Sunday. We're going to visit the Duomo. The Santa Reparata is a crypt underneath the Duomo that we can visit that contains the earlier church, the remains of the earlier church. Our ticket includes that, so you can descend below the sanctuary to visit here. And there's crypts down there and some famous people buried there. So that'll be a part of Sunday. Then let's see, Monday, we can visit the Duomo Museum, the baptistry with its famous doors, the bell tower. Now, the bell tower is a climb. All right. Those of you short of breath, not in great condition, might want to skip that. Sawyer and I went up both the baptistry and the Duomo tower, and it's a lot of steps, right, Sawyer? But
Yeah, a lot.
views up there, views are incredible. So if you do want to challenge yourself and walk up those steps, it is included in the ticket. Let's see. And then we're going to have a final meeting in the evening before dinner together. It'll be our final dinner together. And then, of course, the next day, the train return to Rome. Please let me know your plans for the end of the tour if you haven't already. Some of you have let me know already that you need a train ticket either this day or the following day. That's fine. But just let me know when you need to get back to Rome from Florence so that I can get you a train ticket. Now, if you're going to travel elsewhere, not Rome, then okay, that's fine. You're on your own. I don't need to know about that. Now, a couple of sites you might want to visit during your free time in Florence. The Central Market, also known as the Mercato Centrale Firenze, it's located in an iron and glass building designed by the architect Giuseppe Mengoni. It's quite a feast for the eyes and the stomach. Sawyer, I know you remember this wonderful place. We had a meal here.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The hardest thing about visiting this place is deciding, narrowing it down on what you want to eat, because basically you want to eat everything you see. It's incredible. It's a great place to browse and stock up on tasty Italian foods. The ground floor of the market features vendors selling fresh produce, meats, cheeses, fish, olive oil, vinegars, truffle products, and other local goods. And upstairs from these vendors, you'll find a modern food hall with shops selling everything from pizza and gelato to Tuscan specialties. Now here you can sit down to a meal, or you can pick up items to take on a picnic. Surrounding the building, there are dozens of vendors who are selling artwork, pottery, jewelry, leather, clothing, souvenirs, anything else you can think of that you might want to buy right around this facility. So keep that in mind. Now, near the Uffizi Gallery, I mentioned before when we were looking at the map, is the Basilica of San Croce. It's the largest Franciscan church in the entire world. Santa Croce is similar to the Duomo in style. The exterior is stunning, despite not being as elaborate as the Duomo. Visitors come here to pay respects to such notable Italians as, listen to this, artist Michelangelo, scientist Galileo Galilei, and political philosopher Niccolo Machiavelli, whose tombs and memorials are housed here. So this is a pilgrimage site for those of you who consider yourselves artists and intellectuals. You might want to, or scientists, you might want to visit this site during your free time. It's also home to what some say is the most important art collection of any church in Italy. The most notable works being spectacular frescoes done by Giotto. Now, I think it costs only €8 for adults and only €6 for youths to visit. So very cheap. All right. I like to keep these meetings brief to allow time for questions. So, and I also don't want to overwhelm you. So, any questions you have so far or thoughts? Anything that those of you, Marco and Joanna, or those of you who have visited these sites before, if you want to suggest things or add something to what I've said, please feel free to do so now. But the floor is open.
I can tell people that, especially both Rome and Florence. Florence is so concentrated, really, walking is absolutely the best way to visit Florence. And Rome too, considering where our hotel is, consider that 70% of the sites, so the most important sites, are within walking distance. So that it's a great advantage.
That's why I chose those places. I do a lot of research to find the best
Great
places.
job.
Yeah. So, and they're all 4-star rated, so should be quite comfortable.
And also, the vast majority of that part of Rome is pedestrian. Cars are not allowed except for people living there.
Yeah. And
So
does that include the fashion district? Is that pedestrian?
Yeah,
rated?
absolutely. Yes.
Okay,
Oh, especially those streets are pedestrian.
Mhm.
good. Joanna, did you have something you wanted to say?
I wanted to say that Diane and I will arrive there. We live in New York on the 9th, and we'll arrive the 10th, and we are staying in a convent. We are staying in a convent for 3 days until you arrive, and it's called Casa del Rosario, and it is in Via Sant'Agata dei Goti. So in the center of Rome, in a pedestrian area. That's what we will be for the first 3 days.
Oh, good. Well, good for you all.
Yes, we'll stay there before you come.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's always a good idea to arrive a few days early to acclimate, to fully
Yes.
acclimate, so that, you know, your first time when we go to visit the historical sites, you're not brain dead. You're clear. And you can
That's
take in the
true.
information.
We had that experience when we took the Viking trip last October.
Of Viking cruises?
Yes, and it was, we arrived and then we went to Frankfurt, then we went to Lyon. It was really excessive. So this time we decided to do it this way.
Well, good.
To stay
Very
a couple of
smart.
days.
Very smart of you. All right, any other questions or thoughts to share with the group? All right, then I won't keep you any longer. I have recorded this, so if you need me to send it to somebody you know who couldn't make it, let me know. And let's see. Yeah, we'll probably meet again a month from now. I'll give another presentation. Also expect a month from now, those of you who have not received a journal from me, to receive a journal. Let's see. I think I have everybody's mailing address, but if I don't, I will reach out and
Okay.
request that from you, okay?
Okay.
All right, everybody, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Waverly.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Waverly.
Waverly. Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.